But I'm really sort of bored. I mean, I don't know about all of you, but baseball it can be a boring game. Some of you, yeah, I know, but some of you will disagree with me on that. Some love a pitcher's ball game. I'd rather have a hitter's ball game. Anyway, it was a pitcher's ball game. It was sort of boring, 6th, 7th inning. I'm sitting there thinking, Sunday or Saturday, I'm flying home. I got to preach on Sunday. I need to be at the hotel room working on a sermon. The next day, we're in the seminar, and he goes, "Hey, Greg, you want to go to the game tonight?" What did I say? Nah. He is a fanatic. Any chance he gets, he's going to the Detroit ball games right now. Well, not right now, but he's a pastor just on the west side of Detroit. He goes to every ball game he can go to. He's a fanatic. I'm just I like to watch. The reality is, for most of us here, we just sort of like to watch our Christian faith. You get me with that? We just we'll go once in a while. I like to go to the Detroit Tigers maybe once a year, once every other year. Our faith is something we just sort of do a little bit. What is Paul saying? Never be lacking in zeal. In other words, Paul is saying to you and I, we are called to have that fanaticism, to be a fanatic, to be a zealous. You know, we talk about the extreme Muslims, the radical Muslims. Well, in some respects, that's really what God's calling you and I to do, to be a radical Christian. To totally give our life over to Jesus Christ, and to always and everywhere be ready to give a reason for the hope within us, and to be a fanatic of God and Jesus Christ. Not just to be sitting back and showing up with our faith journey once in a while. Never be lacking in zeal, so says Paul. But keep your spiritual fervor. Keep your spiritual fervor. Spirituality. Isn't spirituality the catchphrase today? I can't tell you how many people that I talk to, especially within the Air Guard, the military setting, who tend to say to me, "Well, I'm very spiritual, but I'm not religious." Or, "I'm very spiritual, but I don't go to any church." And I'm very spiritual, but I really don't... I don't see God as just one way to get to God through Jesus. But I'm really spiritual. I have all this spirituality. Go to any bookstore. Years ago, there were a lot of books on Christianity and just a few books on New Age ideas. Now, it's reversed. Spirituality is the catchphrase within a lot of our lives. Within the military, there's the whole spiritual resiliency. Well, when we teach it, we're supposed to talk about the spirituality of the supreme power as being our spirituality. Well, if you know me well enough, when I do the spirituality resiliency, that's not what I'm teaching. Because the reality is, Paul says, keep your spiritual fervor, which means the spirituality... Spirit is the word pneumos. Greek word pneumos. And pneumos means, what does pneumos mean? Oh, come on. 6 of you were just in my office an hour ago. What? Air, wind, breathing, yeah. Pneumos. If you get pneumonia, you can't breathe. You can't breathe. Pneumos. Paul is saying, it's a never lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual. Here, it's referring to the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit working with our spirit in unison, together as one, as two gears that go together smoothly. We're called to go together smoothly with the Holy Spirit. It's not a spirituality that's out there of some supreme being, but it's a reality that my spirit needs to work with the Holy Spirit. But also it says to keep your spiritual fervor. Fervor is a word which means to boil. Boil with heat. You know, you can have that boiling love for somebody, or you can also boil in anger with somebody else. I find it interesting when people say to me, well, we're so angry at that person, we don't love them anymore. And I like to point out that love and anger are the same coin, or on the same side of the teeter-totter. They're just sort of one side and the other side. Apathy is the opposite of love and hate. But love and hate are together. If you start to hate somebody, you probably have loved them before. They're together. You're emotionally connected to them. So the fervor is to be boiling over with that love, or to have anger. It's to have a zeal for God, a spiritual fervor within our life. Well, a few years ago, I talked about the 2:12 principle. Maybe some of you remember that. The 2:12 principle is simply the fact that at 211 degrees, water is getting really hot, but at 212, it's boiling, and the steam can change things. And the fact that a lot of us within our life, we tend to be just sort of sideline fans instead of being that fanatical Christian. And we may have some life in our spiritual life and journey, but we're not boiling over. So what's the 2:12 principle? It's the idea, the fact that the margin for victory between Olympic gold, a little hard to read this, I know, but between Olympic gold and a gold medal, and no gold medal at all, is often very close. 2004, the 800-meter race, the margin was only 0.71 seconds. And if you watch the Olympics, all those races are so close. From whoever gets the gold to whoever gets the fourth place, or sometimes even the loser. They're so close. We have just recently, the average margin of victory over the past 25 years in all major tournaments was less than 3 strokes. And this is the Jason who won the 2013 PGA Championship just a couple weeks ago. Indy car racing, the Indy 500. The average margin for victory in the past 10 years was 1.54 seconds. 1/1002. That's right there, 1/1002. Well, the winner took home 1.2 or almost 1.3 million. Second place took home 600,000, a little over. The difference of missing that first place by 1/1000 to $650,000 for missing 1/1000. That's the 2:12 principle. The idea, are we giving everything that we have to Jesus Christ? Are we boiling over with spiritual fervor? Are we using who we are, and as we're boiling over, the steam of our life, the old locomotive trains? I think it's amazing that they were powered by the steam of the water. Where are you and I with that? I mean, do we show up on Sunday mornings? Do we sort of talk the talk, but not walk the walk? Or is God moving in your life? Is God causing things to take place in your life that you realize there's more to this life? That you really want to have that spiritual fervor. That you really want to have that boiling over. That you really want to be like the steam which powers the locomotive. Keep your spiritual fervor. Never be lacking in zeal. Keep your spiritual fervor. Serving the Lord. Well, this is one of those politically incorrect words that we sometimes talk about today. It's to be a servant, to be a slave. The New Testament calls Christians a servant or a slave. One who voluntarily indentures themselves, voluntarily gives themselves up over to Jesus Christ. It's to be in obedience, to be in subjection to. It's to submit to Jesus Christ, our all. And not just showing up on Sunday morning thinking that we're doing our duty, but it's throughout the entire week. It's submitting who we are. It's giving our life over totally to the Lord.